Hello, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, Saturday, we're talking about Friday the 13th. I know, I love Friday. My favorite horror franchise, my favorite horror character, Jason Voorhees, and we're going to talk about this series coming up on Peacock, the spin-off prequel series, which is both exciting and frightening at the same time, considering what's been happening with modern reboots and reimaginings. I don't want to see my favorite franchise go the way of modern entertainment. I really don't. But with what I've heard about this from these articles we're going to cover today, my mind has been set a little more at ease hearing what we're going to go through in these articles. So yes, this does have some promising. There's a silver lining to the... All right, let's start out over here on the digitalfix.com. Brian Fuller's Friday the 13th series can use everything, which to me is oh yeah, Jason left me his shirt, a bonus, because there's so much lore in the movies. Now, we'll get into that, into the weeds a little bit deeper here as we go on through these two articles that we're going to cover. A new horror series inspired by Friday the 13th movies has been announced for streaming service Peacock. Here's what Brian Fuller said about it. Brian Fuller is the showrunner. Friday the 13th is one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. And now, in the footsteps of other major IPs like that's saying you're following the footsteps of Star Wars is not a ringing endorsement right off the bat, all right? Especially somebody who loves and cherishes this franchise. The slasher movie is getting its own spin-off series over on Peacock, which is obviously owned by NBC. Brian Fuller, who's set to be the showrunner of the exciting new horror series, spilled the beans on what content from the franchise he was actually allowed to use in a new interview on the King Cast via Fangoria. Everything. We can use everything, he explained. We can go to hell, we can go to space. That's not to say that we will do those things, although if we do go 10 seasons, I will be lobbying hard to go to space. He continued, A24 and Mark Toberoff, who is Victor Miller's lawyer, have beautifully and excruciatingly assembled all of the Friday the 13th rights. As a streaming service, we have the rights to do everything under the Friday the 13th umbrella. The movie rights, he added, are a completely different thing. They are tied up at New Line and are super messy and won't be untangled anytime soon. But as far as us chickens in the television industry, roost, we have access to anything and everything that Friday the 13th has done up until this point. He then went on to discuss the reception following the announcement that a prequel series was coming, saying, "The reactions I saw yesterday were positive, but yeah, there's always going to be a collection of naysayers. That's nothing new to me. I encountered this when Hannibal was announced. Some of those tweets looked like copy and paste jobs from 10 years ago. Crystal Lake, as the show is called, doesn't have a release window yet, but so I want to talk about this right here. Hannibal was an excellent series. I need to watch it again, but it was really good. As somebody who enjoyed Silence of the Lambs, really liked The Red Dragon, and good stuff. The show was good. Mads Mikkelsen, excellent. So I'm really hoping that this guy can catch lightning in a bottle and really do this justice. All right, so Friday the 13th prequel producer says series is virtually a 2-season commitment. And we'll go into that. This has more of the the steps for the show and stuff like that. Brian Fuller says Peacock is completely behind the Friday the 13th prequel series, almost guaranteeing a second season before a single episode airs. And I'm not going to lie, this makes me happy. In a world of She-Hulks, I want Jason Voorhees. After years of nothing from Friday the 13th, the prequel series Crystal Lake seems to be gearing up for more than just one season, even before it goes into production. While there have been conflicting reports and opinions that the series of what it will and won't be allowed to use, which can usually only be deciphered by trolling through dozens of stories about the protracted legal battle around the characters of the franchise, according to comments made by producer Brian Fuller, the show will be almost guaranteed at least 2 seasons. And they go into detail in that right here. They say, now A24 and Peacock moving forward with the surprising prequel series, and as Fuller explained, it comes with the definite possibility of 2 seasons from the get-go, Fuller told Fangoria. One of the things that's super exciting And one of the many reasons that we went with Peacock is they blew every other competitor out of the water. There was a bidding war on this, and they came in strong and gave us a full season commitment with a huge penalty if we don't do a second season. So it's kind of a 2-season commitment, but really just the first season commitment. We're going to have roughly 5 times the per episode budget that we had on Hannibal. And I had to look it up, but the budget on Hannibal was $185,000 per episode, whereas Crystal Lake will be getting $925,000 per episode. That makes me extremely happy. Now, they have a good budget per episode, which leads me to believe that they're planning on doing some really cool things with this show. I want this to go back to Crystal Lake, as I've talked about. I am working on something Friday the 13th related myself right now. And if it never ever comes to fruition as a Friday the 13th project, well, I can easily do some rewrites and turn it into a great slasher story. But this is great news. It says, will Jason appear in Crystal Lake? If Crystal Lake was pitched within the continuity of the story, Jason Voorhees could not appear as anything other than a child, as the original movie saw Jason's mother, Pamela, being the one to see off a half dozen young camp attendees as revenge for the death of her son as a young boy. One thing about Friday the 13th, the franchise, is that it never really explained how the weedy, dead Jason came to be a hulking, supernatural, and seemingly unstoppable monster. However, Fuller has already claimed that nothing is off limits for the series, including Jason, which would suggest that the series and the movies will not be as linear as they first seemed. See, that right there. If you can give me the man behind the mask in the series, and please just let this be like ultra violent. I want nothing more than good Friday the 13th. If you give me something in the vein of Friday the 13th Part 6, but keep it in that, I'm very, very interested to see what time frame they'll set this in. I don't want this set today. I think if it was set today, it would almost ruin it. Now, I say that after being a huge fan and still being a huge fan of Womp Stomp Productions and Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow, which I highly recommend you watch both those that are available on YouTube and go out and support Womp Stomp Productions. Purchase the Blu-rays of those. They're worth it. I'm actually in the process. I'm going to order both of them, and I'm going to back their Never Hike Alone 2 on Indiegogo, because I believe in that kind of project. I really do. As somebody who is, like I said, I'm sitting over here with a notepad that I have a 5-page ending to my story, just the final battle of the story that I'm writing. I really like the independent stuff, but I am so excited about this. It's hard to curb your enthusiasm, pardon the expression, when it comes to something like this that you're so invested in and you love so much. You know, you don't want to see it ruined. You want to see it handled right. And after Jason X and Friday the 13th, 2009, the bar is really low. So if they can come in and, like, I'm not saying I'm going to settle for mediocrity. You've been sitting here long enough. I got to finish the video. Yeah, I know you're a big scary killer. Come on, get out of here, you dick. Give me my chair back, bro. Come on. Look, I gave you your shirt back. What do you want? Huh. All he wanted was his machete. What do you guys think? Is anybody else out there like me and has a way too much excitement for this show and we're just kind of setting ourselves up for a fall? Or are you cautiously optimistic because of everything that's going on in modern entertainment? Me, I can't help but be enthused about this. I really can't. I'm so excited. It's been over a decade since we've had anything new, and the prospect of Jason Voorhees in a series form, and I say this as somebody who loved Friday the 13th, the series, even though it had nothing to do with Friday the 13th, it's very, very, very exciting. To basically a lifelong fan of this franchise and definitely the slasher genre as a child of the 80s. But now it's your turn, folks. Leave your thoughts in the comments section, as my lovely assistant here has pointed out. And also, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Ding the bell for notifications. And that's it, folks. You can join as a channel member if you so wish. $2.99, $4.99, 2 tiers. And also just show up for the live streams, have fun, enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing them for you. More content on the way, more horror content. There's a few pop culture things I have to touch on. But yeah, we got a lot more in store for you. I'm Itepokuina, the place to be reviews. We've been here with all of you. If we don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow, and we'll catch you on the next one.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
I could do this all